Hello, radiant Leo, heart of the zodiac, ruler of fire, born to lead with courage and charisma. Tell me something, have you felt it too? That strange tension in the air, like something is about to change? Not just on the outside, but within your bones, within your bank account, within the unspoken questions you've been quietly carrying. This isn't coincidence. This isn't random. If you found your way to this video today, it's because the universe has been whispering your name, calling you to witness a shift that's bigger than a prediction. This is not just another horoscope. This is a message, divinely timed, meant for the Leo soul who's standing on the edge of a new chapter. Because yes, dear Leo, a financial shock is coming, but what seems like a loss at first glance is actually the doorway to a whole new kind of wealth. This message doesn't come to scare you. It comes to prepare you. To awaken the part of you that has always known. Breakdowns often arrive just before breakthroughs. And you, more than anyone, were never built to live small. You were built to rise. Think about it. Has your relationship with money been changing? Have you found yourself questioning old beliefs, craving more than just survival, longing for meaning behind every dollar? If so, you are not alone and you are not off track. You are in the middle of a cosmic realignment. Financial shifts aren't just about numbers in a bank account. They are about value, worth, confidence. And in your case, they are about reclaiming the throne you may have quietly stepped away from. And that's why the stars have guided you here, not to warn you of what's falling apart, but to remind you of what's trying to come together. This financial disruption may take the shape of an unexpected expense, a job shakeup, a conversation that shakes your confidence, but whatever it is, it's not here to punish you. It's here to push you. It's here to make sure that the next chapter of your life is built on alignment, not fear. On clarity, not chaos. On power, not pressure. So before we go deeper into today's reading, before we open the sacred cards and decode the numbers and the energy, I want to pause and say something very important. Thank you. Thank you for being here. For your time. For your trust. For every like, every comment, every share, and every subscription. You're not just supporting this channel, Eternal Mindfulness, you're becoming a part of a movement. A space where souls like yours remember that astrology isn't just about fate. It's about freedom. And I promise you, what's coming next in this reading, it's something you'll want to hear all the way to the very last moment. So Leo, tell me, what was it that pulled you here today? What flicker inside of you reached out for guidance? Let me know in the comments. What part of your life is asking to be transformed right now? What change have you been resisting or secretly hoping for? Because today, we're not just talking about finances. We're talking about faith. And how, when everything shakes, the only thing that truly remains is who you decide to become. Stay with me. Let's step into this shift together. There are moments in life when the ground beneath us shakes, not because we are being punished, but because we are being awakened. And Leo, this moment. It's one of them. What you are sensing, this energetic jolt, this trembling around your financial world, is not a collapse meant to destroy you. It is a sacred invitation to remember who you truly are when the comfort of routine and stability is no longer there to lean on. Just as we spoke in the beginning, this journey today isn't about fate playing tricks, it's about the soul reclaiming its throne. And sometimes, That throne must be rebuilt from the ashes of what no longer serves you. The Tower, drawn as our guiding card for this phase, is often misunderstood. At first glance, it symbolizes chaos, abrupt change, and even destruction. But when viewed through the lens of deeper awareness, the Tower is not the villain, it is the great liberator. It arrives when your soul has outgrown the structures you've built around yourself, and when your external world no longer reflects the internal evolution that's already begun. This is not ruin. This is renovation. This is the soul knocking down false walls to build something more aligned, more alive. Astrologically, the current meeting between Venus and Uranus in your financial house mirrors this message with striking clarity. Venus, the planet of value, worth, and resources, is encountering the revolutionary force of Uranus, an energy of disruption, innovation, and liberation. When these two cosmic bodies align, it often feels like being pulled in opposite directions. You may crave comfort and control, while life seems to push you into uncharted territory. But here's the truth: this kind of discomfort is growth in disguise. This is the cosmic current daring you to let go of old beliefs about money, success, and what security really means. Ask yourself gently, what am I clinging to out of fear? Is it a job that no longer fulfills me? A pattern of scarcity thinking? A false sense of control over income and status? When we grip too tightly to what feels familiar, especially in our financial lives, we often confuse survival with true stability. But real security doesn't come from a fixed paycheck or a predictable routine. It comes from adaptability, from clarity, from trust in your ability to rebuild, even when the wind tears through your castle. There's a quiet wisdom in letting go. Like the tree that drops its leaves in autumn, not out of loss, but to prepare for renewal. What's breaking right now may be making space for what wants to grow. Perhaps a new opportunity that's more aligned with your heart. Perhaps a creative venture you've long postponed. Perhaps a different relationship with money altogether, one based not on fear or lack, but on sovereignty and flow. It takes courage to face financial change not as a crisis, but as a calling. But Leo, you were born for boldness. The fire in your chest is not here to burn down your life, it's here to burn through the illusion that you are small, or powerless, or dependent on systems that were never built with your brilliance in mind. So when the shock comes, whether it's an unexpected bill, a career shift, or a moment of deep doubt, breathe into it. Don't resist it. Look it in the eye, not as a victim, but as a leader preparing to redesign the kingdom. As you continue with this reading, allow yourself to soften into the discomfort. Not to surrender to it, but to listen. Within the collapse, there is clarity. Within the unknown, there is new architecture. Let the old fall. Let your own wisdom rise. And remember, nothing real is ever lost. What is true will remain, and what breaks away was never part of your foundation to begin with. After the dust of disruption begins to settle, what remains is not just broken pieces but space. Space to rebuild with intention. Space to choose differently. For you, Leo, the aftermath of any financial shock is not emptiness, it's clarity. And in that clarity, today's energy brings with it an invitation not to retreat, but to rise with new eyes. You're not here to simply recover, you're here to redesign. And the choices you make now around your career and money will ripple into the months ahead with power and momentum. The sacred number 14, which carries the vibration of emotional equilibrium and adaptive strength, echoes around you today like a subtle bell ringing in the background. This number reminds us that balance isn't about holding everything still, it's about learning how to move gracefully through constant change. Like a candle that doesn't resist the wind, but dances with it, you are being guided to bring lightness and agility into how you handle both opportunity and challenge. Financial transformation rarely happens through force. It happens through presence. Through the quiet decision to pause, examine, and shift what no longer fits. That's where the Knight of Swords comes in, a card pulsing with bold momentum. He arrives not to wait, but to move, charging forward with clarity and determination. But his strength isn't just in speed, it's in knowing when to leap. That's the part that's often missed. This card doesn't demand recklessness, it invites intentional bravery. And that's where your fire truly shines. There may be an unexpected opportunity knocking, a contract, a new project, a sudden opening in a field you hadn't considered. It may not look like what you imagined, but if it sparks your curiosity, if it stretches your comfort just enough to make your heart race, pay attention. Sometimes the fastest path forward is the one that disrupts our expectations. Be bold, yes, but be anchored. Ground your enthusiasm with awareness. Ask the right questions. Clarify what you truly want before you sprint toward it. Now is the perfect time to revisit your relationship with spending and earning. What purchases are soothing emotions rather than serving values? What investments have you been avoiding that could open doors in your knowledge or skill set? These reflections aren't punishments, they are doorways. Simplifying your financial world is not a sign of lack, it is a conscious return to what truly matters. And when you let go of distractions, you make room for your creativity to bloom. That's your true currency, Leo, the radiant brilliance of your expression. This is your moment to reimagine what abundance looks like. It may not be about flashy results. It may be about building a foundation that supports your long-term well-being. That could mean taking a step back to restructure. It could mean reaching out for mentorship. Or it could mean finally offering your own voice, your own stories, your art, your insights, and letting the world respond. Your fire was never meant to stay contained. When you bring it to your career, when you allow it to fuel your income with meaning, you step into the life that was always meant for you. Remember, believing you can change your financial destiny is not naive. It is essential. What you believe, you begin to shape. What you focus on, you energize. And that is how the law of attraction really works, not through wishful thinking, but through alignment. When your actions match your values, when your courage meets your clarity, transformation becomes inevitable. So lean into the golden colors of the sun today, burnt orange, royal gold. Let them remind you that wealth is not just a number. It's a frequency. And you, Leo, were born to vibrate at the level of sovereignty, not survival. The number May 28th appear for you in the coming days, a symbol of action born from self-trust. When you see it, take it as a gentle nudge from the universe. Your next financial evolution begins now. When the mind begins to race and the chest tightens without warning, it's rarely just about the immediate stressors. It's the body whispering what the heart has not yet said out loud. Leo, after navigating disruption and rethinking your financial path, it's natural that your inner fire, your ruling element, might begin to burn too brightly. You've been holding a lot, maybe more than you've let on, and your body has become the sacred vessel for emotions you haven't yet released. That quickening heartbeat, that restless sleep, that subtle pressure in your chest. They're not flaws. They're signals. Honest, ancient signals asking you to pause, soften, and listen. The nervous system, especially for fire signs like you, doesn't just respond to danger, it responds to the unknown. And lately, with so much shifting beneath your feet, your internal world may have begun echoing that instability. But instead of fighting these sensations or blaming your body for being too sensitive, what if you could meet them like an old friend? Like a teacher offering you an embodied reminder: to regulate is not to resist, but to return. To come back to center. Not by force, but through gentle rebalancing. There's a deep teaching that speaks of how every storm must eventually return to stillness, not because the storm is weak, but because nature is wired for restoration. So are you. Your body wants to return to ease. Your breath wants to deepen. But it may need you to choose that stillness deliberately. And in moments like this, daily rituals become more than routines, they become anchors. Breath work, for instance, isn't simply a wellness trend. It's a way to return the scattered parts of yourself back into your chest, where your strength lives. A simple practice like breath of fire, done each morning, can help you release nervous tension and generate warmth in a controlled, constructive way, transforming the overload of energy into grounded vitality. Likewise, what you feed your body now matters more than ever. Caffeine, although tempting in times of fatigue, often adds more fuel to an already overstimulated system. Consider reaching instead for herbal teas infused with ginger and licorice root, both known for their calming effects and support of the adrenal system. This small shift alone can act as a daily act of self-respect, a message to your body that it is safe, supported, and heard. And don't underestimate the healing power of touch. The shoulders, neck, and upper back often carry the invisible weight of unspoken worry, especially financial strain. Massaging these areas with warming oils like cinnamon or ginger can help dissipate trapped heat, allowing your energy to flow again with more clarity. When done mindfully, massage becomes less about relaxation and more about reattunement. A way of saying to your body, "I'm here. I'm listening. I will not abandon you in this process." In moments like these, there is wisdom in learning the middle path, not swinging between extremes of hyperactivity and collapse, but allowing yourself to recalibrate gently each day. Not rushing towards solutions, but honoring the space between tension and release. Healing doesn't always look like rest. Sometimes, it looks like breathing through discomfort until it becomes peace. And when the flame within you is well tended, Leo, you don't burn out, you light the way for others. So take this time to come back to yourself, not as a luxury, but as a responsibility. Because your strength, your leadership, your clarity, they all begin in how well you care for the vessel that carries them. After upheaval comes the quiet, a stillness that feels unfamiliar at first, but necessary. You've faced shifts in finances, confronted uncertainty in your work, and listened deeply to your body's calls for balance. And now, as we arrive at the heart of this journey, we enter the space where light begins to return, not from external validation or fixed solutions, but from something far softer and more intimate. Love. Not just romantic love, but the kind that reminds you you're not alone. The kind that sees you in your most unguarded moments and chooses to stay. When the star appears in a reading, it signals renewal after chaos. It is the soft radiance that follows the tower, the gentle glow that emerges when the storm has passed and you're left staring up at a sky that feels both unfamiliar and full of promise. The star doesn't promise answers. It offers hope. It reminds you that even in your most vulnerable state, you are still worthy of wonder. And paired with the Page of Cups, that hope becomes personal. It becomes a message whispered from someone new, or someone you'd almost forgotten to believe in. This is the kind of energy that shows up when the heart is finally quiet enough to receive. It may arrive as a young soul with kind eyes, or someone who carries a refreshing sense of curiosity and gentleness. They may not come to fix anything, but they may offer presence, sincerity, and warmth, and in the wake of financial instability or shaken self-esteem, that presence alone can be healing. It's important to remember that love is not a solution to material challenges. But it is a mirror. It shows us who we are when we are not performing, when we're not proving our worth through productivity or wealth. Real love, in its simplest form, invites us to put down the armor. This moment is an opportunity to reflect on how you show up for yourself in moments of perceived lack. Are you waiting until your life looks a certain way before you feel ready to love or be loved? The truth is, your worth has never been tied to your income. It has never depended on your productivity. And when the bank account is low or when plans fall through, it's easy to think that love must wait. But the paradox is this: it's often in our most stripped-down states that love can find us honestly, without the distractions. There is a practice of deep compassion that teaches us to sit with what is not to escape it, but to witness it fully. And when we do this, when we can hold our own brokenness with gentle attention, something shifts. We begin to become the kind of person who can receive real connection not out of need, but from openness. And that's when the Page of Cups walks in. Not as a savior, but as a mirror to the softness we've just uncovered. So if you're noticing someone orbiting closer, someone who feels familiar in a way that doesn't quite make sense, stay curious. They might not have all the answers, but they may be the reminder you needed that tenderness is still alive in this world, and that you deserve it, even now. Especially now. And if no one external has appeared just yet, perhaps this is the time to let that love begin from within. Care for yourself the way you wish to be cared for. Speak gently. Touch your own hand with kindness. Look at yourself with the eyes of someone who never stopped believing in your light, because that's who you are beneath all the pressure. A light still burning, still whole, still radiant. And when you can hold that light within you, you don't have to chase love. It finds you. Quietly. Truly. Right when you need it most. There's a quiet kind of power that isn't always visible. It doesn't shout or rush in with grand declarations. Instead, it lives in the way you get back up after being knocked down. It shows itself when you breathe through disappointment without letting it harden you. And right now, Leo, you are embodying that strength more than ever, not because everything is easy, but because you've chosen to remain open in the midst of adversity. That is the energy of the Strength card, your ruling symbol in the tarot. But this kind of strength isn't about dominance or control. It's about soft resilience. About knowing when to release instead of resist, and trusting that your worth doesn't vanish in the face of temporary loss. After moving through financial shocks, career shifts, and emotional weight, this part of your journey asks not for reaction but for reflection. It's natural to want to rebuild quickly, to fill in the gaps with certainty. But here, the deeper path invites you to pause and recognize that what's being forged within you is far more valuable than what was shaken loose. In teachings of inner mastery, it's said that one doesn't become wise by avoiding difficulty, but by walking through it with awareness. And now, you are being shaped into something unshakable, not in the absence of fear, but because you are learning to walk beside it with grace. Sometimes life breaks us open, not to destroy us, but to carve out space for greater capacity. To hold more compassion, more clarity, more courage. And when it comes to abundance, financial, emotional, or spiritual, it always flows most freely to those who no longer need it to define their identity. You are not what you've lost. You are what you've learned. And every time you meet a moment of difficulty with honesty instead of resistance, with patience instead of panic, you transform that moment into gold. Real gold. Not the kind you spend, but the kind you become. This is the time to honor the inner alchemy already unfolding. If you were to sit with yourself right now, without distraction, what would you say you've gained from recent challenges? What truths have been revealed? What old beliefs have been dissolved? Write them down. Let them become part of your new foundation. Because the more you bring light to what you've learned, the more you begin to see the purpose behind the pain, and from that seeing, real healing begins. But healing doesn't end with the self. One of the most powerful ways to integrate what you've survived is to offer it forward. There is someone out there who is just beginning the kind of storm you've already walked through. What would you tell them? What would you wish someone had told you? When you share from your own lived wisdom, not to fix others, but to be present with them, you complete a sacred cycle of growth. Compassion becomes your currency. And in a world driven by noise and comparison, your calm clarity will be what others remember. You don't need to do something grand to shift your energy today. Even a simple gesture like calling someone you love and saying, "I'm okay. I'm changing," that's all, can reorient your spirit. Because in truth, you're not broken. You're becoming. And that becoming is more powerful than anything you were trying to protect before. When your inner flame is steady, when you choose presence over panic, the world responds. Money, opportunities, alignment theory, all drawn to warmth, not desperation. Just like moths are pulled toward light, abundance naturally flows toward those who shine from within. So let your light be the kind that needs no permission. Let it burn steady, not to impress, but to illuminate. And trust that in doing so, you become not just the hero of your own story, but the kind of presence that brings peace to others simply by being. That is your real wealth, Leo. And it's already on its way back to you. And so, dear Leo, as we reach the final breath of today's journey together, I invite you to pause, not just to reflect on the messages you've heard, but to truly absorb what they've awakened in you. You are not here by accident. You didn't stumble into this reading as a way to pass time. Something deeper brought you here. Something within you, perhaps quiet for too long, is now stirring, whispering that it's time to stop dimming your light to make others more comfortable. It's time to rise, not in defiance, but in alignment. This financial shock, this wave of change you felt approaching, was never meant to break you. It was meant to reveal you. Because you were never just a sign of fire, you are the fire itself. And in the moments when the world seems to ask too much, you have a choice: to shrink and survive, or to expand and lead. Today's reading was a mirror held up to remind you of your brilliance, of the resilience that does not need permission to shine. Yes, there may be discomfort. Yes, things may fall away. But what remains will be true, refined, and unmistakably yours. Ask yourself now, what part of your life is asking for your leadership, not the version of leadership the world rewards, but the kind that begins with self-respect, courage, and gentle consistency? What truth have you been avoiding because it's safer to stay in the known than to stretch into possibility? And most importantly, what version of yourself are you being called to embody, not tomorrow, not next year, but today? You see, real transformation doesn't come from waiting for the right moment. It comes from honoring the moment you're already in. You don't need everything to be perfect. You don't need more money, more time, or more validation. You just need a single, sincere choice to begin walking toward the life that reflects who you've always been deep down. You already have everything you need. And now that you've remembered that, you can never forget it again. If this message resonated with you, if it stirred something in your heart that felt familiar, then don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment below and share your truth. What part of this reading spoke to you most? What shift are you ready to make? What step will you take this week to honor the light you carry? I invite you to comment, "I am the light that cannot be extinguished," as a way of declaring, to yourself and the universe, that you are ready to rise. And if you found value in this space, if this reading gave you even a small sense of clarity or calm, I kindly ask you to support this energy exchange. Like this video. Subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, and share it with someone whose light you believe in too. Each action you take here doesn't just grow a channel, it expands a community of souls committed to waking up, healing, and choosing alignment every single day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, not only with your ears, but with your spirit. Your presence makes this space sacred. And always remember, Leo, you may fall, but you never stay down. You may burn, but you never burn out. You are the sun, steady, sovereign, and unapologetically radiant. Now go. Stand tall. And let the world feel your warmth.